What's good, Joshua Boy Ross? Back at it again with another video. So we're gonna check out why it's almost impossible to go 300 miles per hour. Now, there's not many vehicles out there, and when I say many vehicles, I mean like production style vehicles that you can drive on the road legally for the most part. There's not many of them that can go 300 miles an hour. Obviously, there's some cars and some vehicles that they specifically make to go as fast as possible, but they're not really production cars. They're more so a concept vehicles that are there to be tested. And even then, it's still really damn near impossible to get to those type of speeds before you start adding in like jet propulsion engines and stuff like that. So we're gonna check this out, man, because I mean, if you're able to get a car to go that fast, you've put a lot of time and money into it. Personally, I don't even know if I would want to go that fast in a car, because at that point, you might as well be flying on a plane. You're going plane speeds at that point. So we're going to check this out. Should be a very interesting video. Appreciate all love, support. Let's get into this video, man.
It has always fascinated humans. From the first automobiles that struggled to reach 20 miles per hour to today's hypercars that comfortably cruise at over 200 miles per hour.
Yeah.
The pursuit of speed has defined automotive history, but there is a strange barrier in the world of cars. Once you approach the 300 miles per hour mark, things get complicated. And it's not just a matter of having a bigger engine or more horsepower. The closer you get to 300 miles per hour, the more the rules of physics, engineering, and human survival work against you. So why is it almost impossible for cars to go 300 miles per hour? Let's break it down. The first thing we need to understand is aerodynamic drag. At lower speeds, drag doesn't matter much, but as speed increases, drag doesn't just rise in a straight line, it multiplies exponentially. At highway speeds, your car might be fighting against a few dozen horsepower worth of air resistance. But at 300 miles per hour, the air becomes like a war. The drag force increases with the square of the velocity.
Jeez.
Meaning that if you double your speed, drag goes up 4 times. At 300 miles per hour, the force of air hitting the car is thousands of pounds pushing directly against it. This means that to break through, you need an enormous amount of power.
This is true. This is where the physics of trying to make a vehicle that can get to that type of speed, and you know, the person that's driving it is relatively safe as much as you possibly can going that fast. Like, there's a lot that go into it than just simply, oh, I'm gonna just put the pedal to the metal. There's a lot more science involved when you're trying to break that speed barrier, or in a sense like break that land production car speed record, because there are other vehicles they've made that have been incredibly fast, but once again, those are like jet propulsed type vehicles. So
just to overcome drag alone, not even counting rolling resistance, drive strain losses, or tire friction. That's why cars aiming for 300 miles per hour need the engines producing well over 1,500 horsepower.
yeah,
But horsepower alone isn't enough. You can't simply strap a jet engine to a car and call it a day, because then we run into the next major problem: aerodynamic stability. At 300 miles per hour, cars are essentially airplanes that don't want to fly.
there we go.
The air flowing over and under the body of the car can easily create lift. A slight imbalance in design, a poorly shaped front splinter, or even a crosswind can generate forces that literally pick the car up off the ground. Once that happens, the car isn't driving anymore, it's crashing. That's why car designers spent years sculpting the body in wind tunnels.
Yeah.
They use splitters, diffusers, and active
Active
spoilers to keep the vehicle glued to the ground. But here is the paradox. The more you add downforce, the more drag you also add, which makes it even harder to push through the air at extreme speeds. It's a constant battle between stability and speed. Now let's talk about tires, which
The most important part, I would say, in being able to get to those high speeds. That's why there's certain rated tires for certain vehicles. If your car is more on the performance side, you would have certain type of tires because they can handle the higher speeds. And then in certain situations where your car is not meant to be driven that fast, but you're more of an off-road person, or you got to change for the weather. If it snows a lot in your area, then you would have the proper tires. But this is why this is really important, because when you're trying to go that fast, you gotta have some good tires. I mean, one blowout, GG's, it's over for you. There's nothing that anyone can do.
are probably the most overlooked part of this entire equation. Tires are the only thing connecting the car to the road, and at 300 miles per hour, they are spinning at over 2,500 rotations per minute. The
Crazy.
centrifugal force on the rubber is insane. It is enough to literally rip the tire apart from the inside. Traditional road tires would shred within seconds at those speeds. That's why manufacturers have to design specialized tires reinforced with carbon fiber and Kevlar, tested under extreme conditions. And even then, they are only rated for short bursts.
Yep. And that's the thing. Even when they are created for these type of tests, like when Bugatti does their test of trying to go as fast as they possibly can, even with that being said and having specific tires for that situation, they can only do it for so long. And then after that, they got to get rid of them. They got to change them. Because if you go trying to do multiple runs like that, I mean, at that point, you're just putting the driver at a very big risk, because they can't maintain that type of extreme forces and pressure multiple runs. I mean, we see it all the time on the racetrack that they switch out tires for certain situations because they're going at high speeds. Eventually, they got to switch out the tires, get some fresh ones, whatever they got to do, because eventually the tires wear out like exponentially fast when you're going at high speeds over and over and over and over and over.
In fact, when Bugatti was preparing its Chiron Supersport 300 Plus for its record-breaking run, they powered with Michelin to develop custom tires that could withstand these forces. Each tire was X-rayed before use to check for microscopic flaws, because even the tiniest weakness could cause a catastrophic blowout at that speed.
That would be horrendous.
Speaking of Bugatti, let's not forget that the Chiron Supersport 300 Plus became the first production car to officially break the 300 miles per hour barrier in 2019. That achievement came with caveats. The record wasn't recognized by Guinness World Records because the run was only done in one direction, not the required two-way average. And more importantly, Bugatti itself admitted that the car was modified and not exactly identical to what customers could buy. They even said
Of course. Fucking course it would be modified. Because they're trying to break a record. Of course, people are not going to be able. Man, I would be very surprised that they will allow someone to buy a car that can go 300 miles an hour. Now, will that person that buys that car actually get to 300 miles an hour on like a public road or whatever? Probably fucking not. But, I mean, I'm not surprised that it was modified and it's not the ones that they sell to the public. I'm not surprised by that.
weren't interested in pushing further because the risks and challenges were just too extreme. That tells you something. Even with near unlimited resources, cutting-edge engineering, and massive budgets, going 300 miles per hour is still right on the edge of what is possible.
Yeah.
But let's step away from drag and tires for a moment and talk about mechanical stress. Every component in a car, engine pistons, crankshafts, transmission gears, drive shafts, faces unimaginable forces at 300 miles per hour.
Oh yeah, they're working
The
overtime.
faster you go, the more every small weakness gets magnified. An engine running at full throttle for just a few minutes can generate heat so intense that metals expand, lubricants break down, and tolerances vanish. Cooling systems struggle to keep up. Gearboxes must handle thousands of newton meters of torque without exploding. Even wheel bearings, those tiny pieces of metal that let your wheels spin freely, are put under stress levels close to what you would find in jet turbines. Now let's imagine you somehow solved all of these engineering challenges. There is still the issue of
The
roads.
road, yeah.
To reach 300 miles per hour, you need a surface that is absolutely smooth and perfectly straight for miles. Regular roads, forget it.
Yeah, no, it's not. It would have to be on a prep track surface, and they would have to go through for miles and make sure there's no imperfections to the point like there's no bumps, no dips, because one hit of a bump, a dip, whatever, it's over. There's nothing you can do. And at those speeds, you're not even really thinking about it. You're just trying to maintain the vehicle on a straight course. There's no turning here. There's like, no. Even trying to brake at that speeds. No. It's GG's. You have to have time to even brake. That is a lot that goes into trying to do this, you know?
They are too bumpy, too crowded, and too unsafe. That's why record attempts happen on specially prepared test tracks like Volkswagen Aerodynamic in Germany or on long desert runways. Even the slightest bump at 300 miles per hour can unsettle the car and cause disaster.
Yeah.
And remember, tires, suspension, and aerodynamics are all tuned for just one condition: maximum speed in a straight line. Try taking a corner at that speed and you would be airborne before you even realized what happened. There is also safety and human limits to consider. At 300 miles per hour, if something goes wrong, the driver has virtually no chance of survival.
Yeah.
Reaction times shrink to almost nothing. A car traveling at that speed covers the length of a football field in under a second. Braking distances stretch to over a mile. The forces on the human body during sudden deceleration or a crash are far beyond what is survivable.
Yeah.
Even professional drivers approach these runs with extreme caution, knowing that any mistake could be fatal. And then we arrive at the final and perhaps biggest limitation: diminishing returns. The jump from 200 miles per hour to 250 miles per hour was already massive in terms of engineering.
Yeah.
Pushing from 250 to 300 miles per hour isn't just another 50 miles per hour. It's an entirely new realm of problems. Every mile per hour gained requires exponentially more money, more power, and more advanced technology. That's why so few companies even attempt it.
Yeah.
Koenigsegg, Hennessy, and Bugatti are among the only ones trying, and even they approach the challenge more as a showcase of engineering rather than something practical for everyday cars.
Yeah. This is actually pretty cool. This is a dope video, man. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a like. Y'all definitely go check them out, man. This is a channel right here. This is actually pretty dope. Very informative. And it just puts things into perspective, bro. At the end of the day, we can sit up here and be like, you know, we would love to own a car that can go 300 miles an hour. But when you really, 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 really think about it, you probably wouldn't. Hell, I probably wouldn't even want to be one of the test drivers only because, I mean, one thing goes wrong, that's it. There's no coming back from that. So I let the professionals do it and the people with all the money, you know, handle that. No person really needs to be owning a car that can go that fast because most people are not going to be going that fast anyway. But it's just at the end of the day for some of these companies being a way to be able to show the advancement in technology rather than to be able to sell a car. I mean, it is to sell a car because you'll be owning a part of a vehicle that is part of a brand that has one of the fastest land production vehicle cars ever. So, you know, it's all about that exclusivity and stuff like that. But nevertheless, I'm gonna leave this to the professionals, man. Comment down below, let me know. I want to ask some of y'all a real question. If you had an opportunity to get into a Bugatti or whatever car and they wanted you to test the run to go 300 plus miles an hour, whether you're driving or whether you're the passenger, would you actually do it? And obviously, there's no money involved. This is just because you just want to live for the thrill of it. Would you actually do it? I want to know down below how many of y'all are that much of some daredevils that y'all would do this, knowing there's a good chance that you may not live through this experience. Let me know down below, but I appreciate all the support. Road to 200K. I say 200K one day. Road to 20K. We're almost there. Appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.